We're looking at the 3 main things that you can do immediately to start activating greater courage today in the march towards your success. How courageous do you think you really are? How much action do you take, and do you consistently express the real truth about who you are and what you truly want, need and desire with the world? You know, when I ask people about what courage means to them, very often the reply is, well, it's the courage to do those big things that scare you. But what if there was a different definition of courage that you could activate daily that would have the biggest impact on your success? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. So this is your High Performance Mastery series, and every week I'm going to come to you with some details and some teaching around how you can implement high performance tactics, habits, rituals in your life that will lead you to guaranteed success, because it's based on the world's most successful people. In episodes 1 and 2, we talked about clarity. And there were actually 6 different ways that I asked you to redefine your clarity so you could start taking very focused action immediately. Now, you all know that when we start to take new action, it takes a lot of courage. And when it comes to taking courage, like I say, it isn't just about defining it as taking the big action. There are other, sometimes even seemingly small and inconsequential things that take a great deal of courage that people don't take because they don't think it's big enough. So if you've ever been in a relationship that you knew was no longer working, right, and something had to give, and you said, right, enough's enough, and you walked away, that takes a great deal of courage. It takes a great deal of courage to recognise that anything, whether it's a business strategy, a relationship, you know, anything that's not working, to walk away takes a lot of courage. It also takes a lot of courage to say, I need help with something, whether it's around the house, in your business, with your health. It takes a lot to put your hand up and say, I'm struggling to do this on my own. That doesn't necessarily seem big, but it's a huge, courageous act. And it also really takes a lot of courage to say to yourself, you know, I'm struggling with my relationships. Now, this could be relationships, intimate relationships, family, community, teamwork, whatever it is. The level and the quality of your relationship is going to have a massive impact on your success and how you feel about success. So for the purpose of this short video, I want to encourage you to redefine what courage looks like to you, and to know that actually it's taking the small, seemingly inconsequential act of courage every single day that are actually going to put you on that pathway to great success. So to do that, we're looking at the 3 main things that you can do immediately to start activating greater courage today in the march towards your success. So number 1, let's start off really easy. Number 1 is, I want you to go away when you finish watching this video and write a list of the things that you're proud of. All the things that you're proud of. The things that you've achieved, the things that you have gotten through and come out the other side, the things that you've thrived from, the things that you thought were going to kill you, but they didn't. They helped you to grow. Because as we're striving towards a new future, as we're striving for greater success, one of the least things that we do is to look back. Now, we're told not to look back. We're told we can't drive forward when we're looking in the rearview mirror. But I think there's a lot to be said for pulling over now and again and looking in the rearview mirror to see how far you've come, to see what worked well, to see what didn't work well, so that you can make better choices next time. So step number 1 is literally just to write a list somewhere, like in your journal. It needs to be somewhere where you can access it when you start to feel like you're getting scared or you're not taking action. It has to be something you can refer to, and you can keep adding to that list. So that's step number 1. Step number 2 is about understanding actually what you're really scared of. And I'm going to give you 4 main fears that we are all trying to avoid, or we're all activated by these fears, and whatever we do, we're trying to avoid the outcome. So the first thing that we're all trying to avoid is we're all trying to avoid ruin, right? We don't want to lose everything. We don't want to lose everything. We don't want to lose people. We don't want to lose comfort. Like, whatever ruin looks like to you, if you lost everything, how do you define that? That's something that we're all scared of. And sometimes that can be the thing that pushes you to say, like, I'm going to make sure that I don't. But it's also the thing that can hold you back. So if you want to be more courageous, you have to understand that, is this thing that I'm not doing, is this because I fear losing something? I fear the ruin. The second thing is rejection. I don't think anybody enjoys rejection. And again, this might be rejection from a potential client, But it could be rejection from your friends and your family when you start to change and when you start to become more successful and you've changed, they'll tell you. And that fear of being rejected and being ousted out of your social circle, that's it's a loss pain that we're trying to avoid. So we're all trying to avoid rejection. The third thing is ridicule. No one wants to be trolled. No one wants to be laughed at. No one wants to be sort of have the finger pointed and be made an example of in a way that feels kind of negative. So we're all trying to avoid ridicule. Now, in a society where YouTube is big and podcasting and live videos, and we've all got to be on social media all of the time, we are open to ridicule. And if it's something that you really, really fear, this is something that's going to hold you back. And the final one is regret. Now, for me, the fear of regret is what motivates me. I don't want to get to the end of my days and I know that my time is short and look back and go, oh, if only I just made a different decision right there. If only I just hadn't worried what they would say, or hadn't worried about the outcome, or hadn't worried about this, that and the other, and I just took action. What might have happened in the last 20 years of my life that didn't happen because of that one moment in time? Now, when you have a knowing of those 4 fears, you can now start to say, okay, so if I was going to be more courageous, which one of these fears do I really have to work on? You might want to amplify the fear of regret. You might want to say, I'm going to really, really use that to move forward. But you might say, look, you know, what in reality, what do I have to lose? Or you might say, there are only 3 people in the world that I really care about what they think. Everybody else, I'm going to just let that be their opinion. So once you understand what you're really scared of, instead of globalizing it in, I'm frightened, or I've got this limiting belief, or whatever, don't leave it there. Don't leave it top level. Dial in and find out, what am I really scared of? Is that real? Is that a reality? And how can I take action anyway? Even if it's one tiny step. You are still being the person that is overcoming that. So that's the second step. And the third step, which I think is perhaps the most important step, is not only do you have to expect the challenge, you have to embrace the challenge. It is foolish to believe that you can create great success without experiencing great discomfort. And if you think about the Olympians as an example, and they have to get up at, you know, all in all weathers at different times of the day, like when the winter comes in and it's dark and they're getting up at 5 a.m. and they're going to the track and it's freezing cold, they do so because they are an Olympian. They're not doing it because they are somebody that just goes to the track on a morning. They're an Olympian. They have this identity, they have this drive, and they have the focus and determination to do the things that need to be done. When we tell ourselves we want this thing, but in the back of our head, we have this kind of cognitive dissonance where we go like, I want that thing, but you know, really I'm not prepared to do it, then we're already on the back foot. We're already on the losing streak. So you almost have to kind of egg it on. Come on then, give me what you got, because I'm expecting it to come. I'm expecting to be challenged, and and then I'm gonna embrace it, because I'm gonna go, this is gonna make me a stronger, better, clearer person. It's gonna set me up as a lighthouse for the people that are coming behind me. All those things. This last one is the difference between you being a follower and you being a leader. And you don't have time to invest in catastrophizing everything. You don't have time to work out 10 different ways that this could go wrong. You just need to ask yourself, what can I do to maximize this turning out the way I want it to? Because here's the thing, there is no certainty. We have certainty of 2 things. We have certainty in the fact that one day we're all going to die, and we have certainty in the fact that our actions are creating an outcome. Somewhere along the line, the actions that we take on a day-to-day basis is going to create an outcome, whether you like it or whether you don't like it. So if you don't invest in catastrophizing everything that could go wrong, here's the question you can ask yourself. What might trip me up? So I have this on my weekly planner sheet. If you want the planner, I'll put a link in down below. I have it, so it says on the bottom of my weekly sheet as I'm planning for the week, what might trip me up this week? And what am I going to do about it? So a common one for me is comparison. Comparison might trip me up this week. What are you going to do about it, Louise? I'm not going to scroll on social media. I'm going to get in, get my social media work done, and I'm going to get out. Simple as that. It's about expecting it and saying, what strategy can I use to help me maximise the chances of this not bringing me down and bringing me under. That's as simple as you need to start with courage, but you do need to activate it. So those 3 simple steps of courage, you can start them right now. If you like this one, be sure to check out the other 2 videos that I've got lined up for you here, and I'll see you in the next episode of High Performance Mastery.